This is the Nightbane fight, of course. Note for all of these fights, I'm using Molten Armor instead of Mage Armor, because I have a Shadow Priest in the group, so mana shouldn't be an issue. And using I'm using damage food and damage oil for the same reason. This fight, however, is a longer fight, and so mana is slightly more of a concern, so I am using the Serpent Coil Braid here instead of the icon of the Silver Crescent. Serpent Coil Braid gives you a on-use effect when you use a mana gem. So, if you're using that, you might follow a situation similar to mine. First, get in position, which is just inside Fire Blast range, and start off with your usual volley of 5 Scorches to apply the debuff, and a Fire Blast, again just getting as many charges as you can on the Dark Moon card, and start your Fireballs. But then you're going to see, as I just did, as soon as you go to the opening volley, use your the Mana Topaz, I believe, which is your smallest practical mana gem, to get the bonus from that, and then pop your Icy Veins so that you have, and your Combustion, so you have all your trinkets going at once. The bonus from the mana gem on the Serpent Coil Braid, the bonus from Icy Veins, the bonus from Combustion. Again, they all are multiplicative, so the more you have going at once, the better. That Fear, I shouldn't have gotten, I was too close. Basically, you should be just inside Fire Blast range, and when he begins casting the Bellowing Roar, take one step back to get you out of Fire Blast range and also Fear range. At 75, 50, and 25%, he runs up into the air. At that point in time, he'll collapse, as you've seen here, right around the tank. And then he summons skeletons and begins a AoE. You want to back up so you get out of the AoE, which I'm not in this case. I should have backed up further. And then target whoever your main assist is targeting, and burn these down quickly. You'll want just a basic Fireball and then a Fire Blast if they're still up. And they go down fairly quickly, but it's important to single target them. AoE really isn't very practical here. And then you run back to your position. Again, half of the raid will be on the inside of the balcony, half the raid on the outside of the balcony, because he will target members to cast the Scorched Earth, which is that fiery ground that you saw earlier, which will kill you if you stand in it. So you want half the raid on one side and half the raid on the other, so that at any given time both sides are not being covered by that. And if Scorched Earth gets put on your side of the platform, you just move to the other side. Very simple. It is a priority, however, because more than a second in there will tick you for a huge amount of damage. So once he's landed again, you just let the tank build aggro for a few seconds, and then begin as you usually would. The Scorches and the Fire Blast, a mana gem if it looks like you need it, which also will give you the buff if you're using the Serpent Coil Braid. See, there's a Scorched Earth on the left, so they're all running to the right with me. And yeah, stepping back so that when they get feared, it doesn't fear you as well. Again, depending on how your mana is doing, you might want to include a Fire Blast in between every 3 Fireballs to increase DPS. It does increase mana usage by about 16%, so if you're having mana problems, you shouldn't do that, but it does raise DPS by anywhere from 3 to 5%. Once again, you step out of the AoE once it starts, and then single target down, following the main assist. In this case, yet again, our brilliant Asladar. And once they're all down, you should have a moment or two to regen mana. You can't drink, of course, but it will put you outside of the 5-second window, so some mana can come back. You don't want to evoke at this point, however, because if your evoke is going on while when he lands, he'll go right for you instead of the tank. So yeah, just stand there, don't do too much for a second or two, and then reposition and start your opening barrage. Scorches, a fire blast, and then going into the fireballs. Again, making sure to use your trinkets as you see there. I did Icy Veins and a Mana Gem and Combustion, and then unfortunately have to run out of the Scorched Earth, wasting some of my precious trinket time, but oh well, better that than dying. It is a priority, you must be on top of that. And here you see I'm not worrying about even including Fire Blast at the moment. For the most part I'm just doing Fireballs and the occasional Scorch to keep the buff up. Standing just far away so that when that fear hits, it doesn't hit me. And again, collapse on top of the tank. Stay there. If you're not on top of the tank, he will do some major damage to you. So you have to stay there until he really starts his AoE, then back up. So it's collapse, and then expand, and then target and take them down. And back to your position. In this instance, because I am using the Serpent Coil Braid, I will go ahead and, even though my mana is fairly good, I will go ahead and use another Mana Gem in order, as soon as it comes up, you see, in order to get the buff on it. Typically, if I wasn't using the Serpent Coil Braid, I would use a Flame Cap there instead. The Serpent Coil Braid is going to give you about, if you're casting perfectly in those 15 seconds, it'll give you about 1100 additional damage, whereas if you use a Flame Cap and you're casting perfectly for that full minute, which is hard but possible, it's going to give you 1600 damage. So it's a little bit more powerful, but only if you're able to use it for the full minute duration, which in this case clearly is, we don't have a full minute left, he's nearly dead.